Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in association with sharpbetting.co.uk. This is a preview video for the huge heavyweight fight happening on February 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, between Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker. Before we get into the video, Elliot, as we always like to do, please do check out the rest of the channel. All of your boxing needs under one roof. Like this video, and please do drop us a comment on what your thoughts are of what we're about to discuss. And yeah, whether you agree or disagree, or just let us know your general thoughts on the channel and how we can maybe refine it and make it better going forward. We do want to listen to some user feedback. Elliot, as I mentioned, IBF heavyweight title action, Dubois Parker, one of the biggest fights on the card, alongside obviously the light heavyweight undisputed fight between Beterbiev and Bivol. This is one that's really intriguing. Got a lot of people going different ways. We'll come on to that in a wee bit, but the first thing I want to ask you is about the champion, Daniel Dubois. And I want you to tell me, do you believe that he has a chance or would beat Alexander Usyk if they were to rematch?
First of all, thank you for having me. Lovely question. Start us off. Obviously, I want to get straight into it. I think, would he have a chance? Yeah, he'd have a chance. I think he'd have a chance. But do I think he'd win? No, is the answer to that question. I thought you'd have to say, I mean, look, when you obviously had the first fight, I thought it was a low blow. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people said it wasn't a low blow necessarily, but I suppose you look at it and go, if that, if he hits him kind of a couple of inches higher, then he could have well won that fight. So that's why you've got to give him a legit chance in case he kind of lands that shot legally, puts Usyk over. But I feel like other than that incident, it was dominant from Usyk, to be honest with you. Like, I just feel like Usyk would do the same again. I feel like, I mean, obviously, you look at Daniel Dubois and go, he's on a fantastic run. They were a really, really good run. Obviously, Miller, Hrgovic, Joshua, all through those three fights, to be honest, since Usyk, you looked at and go, I reckon he might lose. I think I had Miller beating him. I thought Miller was going to beat him. I think I thought Hrgovic was going to beat him. I thought Joshua was going to beat him. So that's like three sort of, underdog performances he's put in since then. So I can't fault him. And I think we've seen kind of development with him as well, to be honest. But when you're talking about Usyk, you're looking at a super champion, an elite fighter. And I still feel like, yes, he's getting on a bit. He's had some tough fights, obviously, with Joshua and Fury as well. He's got a lot of rounds there. But I still feel like he'd have too much, frankly, for Daniel Dubois on his day. So a chance, yeah, slim one, probably make it somewhere sort of 70-30, maybe even 80-20. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I give him a chance. He's got to have a chance. He's really powerful, Dubois. So I'm kind of, he knocked down Joshua 3 or 4 times before the finish. And then I think a lot of people, when they cast their mind back to the Usyk fight, they automatically straight away think about that low blow incident, right? Forget that for a second. It went 9 rounds or whatever it was. Usyk won every round. Knocked Dubois down with a jab. Finished him with a jab, maybe even it was. It was a comprehensive display from Usyk. It was very one-sided, apart from that moment. I think people maybe get too hung up on that moment. That's not to say I think Daniel Dubois has improved since then, and he's shown that he can go to the well when he needs to. He can bite down on the gum shield. He's maybe kind of quashed all those all that quitter talk with his recent displays. But yeah, for me, you still got to make Usyk a big favorite there. I believe Usyk would beat Dubois if they were to rematch. So yeah, I can't really add much more to what you've already said, mate. But yeah, my second kind of follow-up question to that is, I suppose, the reason I asked you that was because after Usyk's victory over Fury, Dubois was in the ring, kind of stealing his moments, so to speak, knowing that he's got Joseph Parker fight in a couple of whatever months it was then. Now just this happening this weekend. So do you think that there's an element of that perhaps finding out Daniel Dubois could be overlooking Joe Parker here?
You know what? I think there's a big element of that, Paul, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it was bizarre having him come in and kind of give that, revenge chat to Usyk when you sort of got a fight scheduled against someone who, let's be honest, but I mean, Daniel Barr's on a hell of a run. Joe Parker's on a hell of a run as well. Wilder's not the same Wilder, but Zhang was a good victory as well. But both guys that you look at before that fight, those fights happened and go, well, Wilder's going to touch Parker and he's going to go over, like at that point, people still thought that aura was there. So
Yeah.
he's on a hell of a run. I feel like, yes, Daniel Dubois overlooking him. I think obviously that victory with AJ is obviously kind of legitimized. He said, didn't he, afterwards, kind of legitimized him as champion. He felt legitimized. He felt that he'd kind of grown into that role now rather than just got the interim and all that sort of stuff. He felt like he kind of belonged. And I feel like that victory for AJ, maybe because AJ's already beaten Parker as well, maybe that's kind of playing on his mind. He thinks I'll just go through Parker. But to be honest with you, I do think he's really overlooking him. And I can kind of, don't get me wrong, the thing is, I can kind of understand why. Because when I look at Joe Parker and I think, like, Not as big a puncher as someone like AJ. Doesn't carry the sort of threats. Not as big physically. I suppose you look at the attributes he has. Good conditioning, obviously. Good sort of boxing nails. But if you're Daniel Dubois, I think I've come through a higher test probably in AJ. Even though you look at that fight now and you go, well, he was a couple of big digs away from going over himself. To be honest, we could have been looking at Andy Joshua 3 times. Wasn't that far away, I don't think either. Even though it looked overwhelmingly like Dubois, had him over several times. But AJ missed with the whiskers with a couple of uppercuts on there as well. So it could have been different. So I think there's a sense of elevated complacency over Daniel Dubois now. But I suppose someone that is youthful, someone that you become champion, you're excited, etc., etc. So I can kind of understand that as well. But I do think there's a serious element of him overlooking Joe Parker. Yeah, I really do believe that.
Yep, me too, mate. I mean, I think it's kind of a couple of things. I think to be overlooking Parker, I think he might be, but it's like I don't think he's overlooking him to the extent where he's like already planning. Right, okay, just get this out of the way. Right, we're gonna fight Usyk again. Maybe the Joshua rematch if they want it, because that's easy money. I've already knocked him out. I'll just do it again, even faster. Blah blah blah. I think he's maybe thinking that, but it sounds. I don't want to sound harsh, but see with the personality that Dubois has, I don't think he really cares. So it's just like when I get in the ring with Joe Parker, right, my head's screwed on. I'll just blast him out of there and then we'll move on. I don't think in the moment he'll be sitting thinking, oh dear, no, I shouldn't have been overlooking you. I don't think that's the case. I think maybe we're guilty as media, maybe as well, of overlooking Parker, which could be an element to it. I think he might have been at the beginning, overlooking Parker. But now I think as the fight draws closer and closer, you'll know that he can't afford to overlook someone like Joe Parker, who's a former world champion himself. Feels like he's been about for years as well, and it's a really, really credible name. And in a lot of people's eyes, I've heard a lot of people backing Joe Parker. So yeah, I want you to tell me, is one of those people backing Joe Parker you, Elliot? Because we have come to prediction time. I don't know your prediction, but tell me, is Joe Parker, is it two-time world heavyweight champion for Joe Parker, or is Dubois gonna get another good name and a fourth successive victory on his resume?
Yeah, you know what? This is tough. This is actually really tough, and we haven't talked about this, you and I. So I actually don't know which way you're going to go here. But when I think about it, obviously, like from a sort of snapshot perspective, I think Daniel Dubois should win this. I'm looking at it. I'm going Daniel Dubois, 21 KOs in 22 fights, bigger man, younger man, should win this. But then I also think I look at Joe Parker. I think this is probably the last chance he's going to have, and he's come with Andy Lee, a sort of great working relationship they have. And there's two things I think. One is that I don't necessarily. I'm not going to sit here and call him a quitter because I don't think Daniel Dubois is a quitter. But I think we've seen him kind of retire earlier in fights. When other fighters might have continued. And I feel like if Parker can take him late and really sort of stick it on him, could we see the potential for Daniel Dubois to go hit deep water and maybe think, no, I'm not having it? Maybe. Could we also see him kind of stay away from the power of Daniel Dubois and outpoint him? And I'm really struggling to think it. I'm actually going to go with kind of my instinct is that Dubois will have too much for him. I think he'll have too much for him. I think he'll stop him somewhere between sort of 6 to 9. I can see him just sort of catching him and bowling him over. To be honest, he's got frightening power. But equally, it's a lot closer than the kind of KO 6 to 9 it seems. Do you know what I mean? Like equally, yeah. If you were to sit here now and tell me that you think Joe Parker's going to outpoint Daniel Dubois, I wouldn't in any way criticize you for holding that opinion. So yeah, for me, it's Daniel Dubois stoppage, but I would not. It's sort of 55-45 fight for me. Really is.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as a huge 50-50, maybe just edging towards Dubois as well. We are in agreement. I concur. I think Dubois wins this. I'm going via stoppage as well, but like without blabbing on too long, because I know we're coming to the end of the video. As good as Joseph Parker has been recently, I think he was still caught twice and dropped by Zhang last time. Yes, southpaw stance and whatever. Zhang didn't go in for the kill after that. Maybe it was kind of flash knockdowns, but fine rightly that if Daniel Dubois knocks him down, he's going to go in for the kill there and then. I think that he will win this fight. He will win it via stoppage. Would not surprise me at all though if Joseph Parker was ahead, maybe even comprehensively on the scorecard. It was 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, whatever it is. Quite a far ahead. And I'm agreeing with you, mate. Around the mid rounds, I could see this maybe coming in stoppage around 7 or 8. In Daniel Dubois' favour. But guys, please let us know in the comments your thoughts on this fight. It's a cracking matchup, one that could go either way. I might change my mind as we get on fight night or after the weigh-ins or whatever. So yeah, please do let us know. And as always, please do like this video and drop us a subscribe on the channel. Elliot, thanks very much, mate. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.